a lot more people will be spending. So let's talk about your personal economy now. Professor John Gachi is Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, joins us via Zoom now. Prof, well, it's the festive season. We're finding ourselves in an economic crisis, but many will still spend. How do we go about that as individuals, spending in a time of austerity? Well, it may differ from one individual to the other, but generally speaking.
Well, thank you. I think generally speaking, we need to prioritize the expenses ahead of us in January. That is the first thing we ought to do so that we don't create difficulty for ourselves, our children in January. That is so crucial. In January, university students are reopening. By 7th of January, some schools are reopening. By 9th or 10th of January, basic schools are going to school, and I believe some SHS students are also going to school. So those who have on their budget payment of fees and the buying of some necessity for their children to go to school will have to be extremely very careful. Restrain yourself from unnecessary expenditure to preserve some money to cater for those necessary expenditures for January. That is what I can say for now.
And in this time, how do you deal with the issue of savings as well as trying to also deal with lifestyle? Because most of the time it's conflicting, you know.
Well, I think savings is by the plan of the person. So you have your saving plan from January already. So that is what you need to follow. But what we're talking now is about trying to preserve money against January, because January is going to be a tough year because a lot of expenditure which are necessary at the beginning of the month. And if you are not careful and you spend within this week and next week for Christmas excessively, you may be found wanting when it comes to taking care of your bills. So that is what we're talking about. For savings, it's planned for the entire year. It is not now that we'll be doing savings. Of course, there are some people who will receive some bullet amount of money that comes to them. They need to align that with what is ahead of them in January. If you need to cut your travel to preserve money for necessary expenditure for January, you need to do that. If you need to postpone some activities, you need to do that.
But Prof, this is not just about individuals. It's also got to do with businesses. The argument is disposable incomes have dropped, and so businesses may not record that surge in patronage as we used to record in previous festivities. What outlook do you have from your perspective?
Well, we don't have much to tell businesses. They just have to re-strategize for the new year so that they know their way forward and then execute their plan for the new year. If they are going to attract new customers, they need to strategize for that. They need to strategize for cost-cutting activities. Those who don't have plan that they follow for managing their businesses, they need to do that. There are people during the festive moment, they will attend every function using the money belonging to their business and believing that some of the activities they engage in will bring money next year. That is not how it is. You need to plan, and the money that belongs to the business should be set aside, and you feed on what you have. That is how it's supposed to be.
And investment schemes are also being affected as a result of government's austerity plan with the IMF. In these times, of course, do you feel that investor confidence may be affected? A reason for which many may be deterred from putting their funds into schemes that will yield some income for them?
Well, the investor confidence is very low. In fact, it's lowest right now compared to many years past. And in addition to that, there's gross uncertainty in the business environment. That will linger on for some time to come. But the point is that we have known what is going on. So our job is to strategize. This is the time to be reflecting on how business should be done and what you can do in your small way to get a respite for your business. That is what we should be doing right now.
What message would you leave with the general public for them to know about this Christmas and when it comes to their personal economy?
Well, I think they have to balance between enjoying the festive moment and also trying to be thinking about what is ahead of them in January. As I've outlined earlier on, January comes with expenditure across many households, and that should be taken into consideration. It does not mean that we should not relieve ourselves by enjoying ourselves, but that should be matched with what is ahead of us. People should know their strength financially, and then they are able to engage in the enjoyment that is commensurate with their income.
Professor John Kachi, thank you for spending some time with us here on The Pulse. And that's